All right, so we're diving into something pretty fascinating today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Berggruen Institute,
Hmm.
a think tank,
Yeah.
and they're all about like finding solutions for the big challenges.
The big, like, 21st century. All
Exactly.
that.
So we've got a really interesting interview with Nils Gilman.
Uh-huh.
He's their COO,
Right.
and it's from this show, The Bond,
The bond. Okay.
plus some other articles too.
Interesting. Now, a think tank.
Yeah,
What's that doing on a show about nature?
right. That's the cool part. It's
Yeah.
all about these connections between nature and
Yeah.
community and like global governance.
It's more connected than you think, huh?
Way more.
Yeah.
So the Berggruen Institute, they started back in 2010,
Okay.
right in the middle of that whole financial crisis.
Right. Lots of uncertainty back then.
For sure, and it felt like the old systems weren't working.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hence, fresh thinking, right?
Yeah, exactly. Fresh thinking is exactly what was needed.
So the founder, Nicholas Berggruen,
Okay.
he wanted to make a space for new ideas,
I see a space to find solutions for, like,
Yeah,
problems that seemed
intractable.
intractable, yes.
And one of the things they do, this 21st Century Council,
Oh, I've heard of that.
yeah, it's a pretty big deal, right?
Yeah, what do they actually do?
So think of it kind of like a shadow organization.
A shadow organization?
Yeah, for the G20.
Interesting.
It's all these like former heads of state, finance ministers, big thinkers.
So they're influential,
Yeah.
but they don't, like, actually control anything.
They don't have direct power, but they're
Gotcha.
working behind the scenes,
Got it.
trying to like steer the global agenda.
Towards more, equitable and sustainable
Yes.
policies.
Right.
Kinda like a
brain trust.
Trying to, like,
Make things better.
make things better. Yeah.
But they're not just global.
Wow, right.
They do stuff here in California too.
Like what?
This Think Long committee.
Okay.
They work on state level things.
Got it.
And a big thing they did
Yeah.
was pushing for that rainy day fund.
Oh, right. The one that
Pandemic.
stabilized things?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Hmm.
Taking these big ideas
All right.
and, like, actually applying them,
Making them real.
making them real. Yeah.
So what are some of their like core ideas?
Like, what drives them, you mean?
Yeah, like their philosophy.
Well, one thing that keeps coming up,
Mm.
especially in Nils Gilman's book,
Oh, yeah.
Children of a Modest Star,
I like that.
it's the idea of planetary thinking.
Planetary thinking.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
It's a way of approaching problems,
Okay.
recognizing that the world is connected,
So it's like globalization, but
It's bigger than that.
okay.
Globalization is like, moving stuff and people,
Right. Intentionally.
intentionally
Yeah.
across borders.
Yeah.
Planetary thinking is realizing that some things
Yeah.
affect the whole planet,
Regardless of
regardless of borders, regardless of what humans want, things,
Because
climate change, pandemics,
right.
things like that.
So it's like a whole new perspective instead of just thinking about our own little bubble,
We got to think about the whole
planet.
planet as one big system.
Right, which is a big leap for a lot of people,
It is
but it seems like
essential.
essential. Yeah.
If we want to solve these problems,
Probably.
and this shift in thinking,
Yeah.
it impacts our economic systems too.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
How so?
Well, planetary thinking means we have to rethink capitalism.
Rethink capitalism.
Yeah.
That's a bold goal.
It is.
So what are they thinking? Like, how do they want to reimagine it?
Well, one idea they have,
Mm-hmm.
it's called pre-distribution.
Pre-distribution.
It's the idea that we shouldn't just redistribute wealth after it's made.
Oh.
We should create a system where everyone
Yeah.
can own a part of successful businesses.
From the beginning.
Right, from the outset.
Wow.
Imagine if users of tech companies
Right.
who give them all this data
Mhm.
actually benefited
From the profits.
from all that wealth they generate.
That would be
Radical.
radical.
But it makes sense.
It does.
We all contribute to those companies
Right.
in one way or another.
And we don't really have a choice anymore, do we?
Not really. It's part of life now.
Yeah.
So the Berggruen Institute is saying,
Yeah.
hey, let's change the rules.
So that everyone benefits.
Exactly. Not just a select few.
It's like a vision of
A more equitable future.
where everyone can participate,
Right. And own a piece of the pie.
not just the wealthy and powerful.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
It is.
But how would that even work? Are there any real-world examples?
Well, think about Alaska.
Alaska.
Yeah, their permanent fund dividend.
Right.
Every resident gets money from the oil revenues.
Right.
And not exactly owning a company,
Right.
but it's a kind of pre-distribution.
Where everyone benefits.
Exactly, from a shared resource.
Interesting.
And they're employee-owned businesses, too.
Oh, right.
The workers share the profits.
Yeah, and have a say.
Exactly.
So it's not like totally utopian.
No, not at all.
It's already happening.
On a smaller scale.
That's right.
But it could be scaled up.
Potentially.
Potentially, yeah.
But wouldn't that, like, discourage people from starting businesses?
That's what some people think.
Yeah.
But there's evidence that it's not true.
Really?
Yeah, studies show that employee-owned businesses could be just as productive, if not more so.
Interesting.
And think about it. If you're a worker
Yeah.
and you own a piece of the company,
Right.
wouldn't you be more motivated?
That's a good point. It's like,
It builds community.
yeah, everyone's invested.
Exactly.
Not just financially, but
Emotionally
Sure, yeah.
invested in the outcome.
leads to a more engaged workforce.
For sure.
Okay, so shifting gears a bit.
Okay.
Nils Gilman, he's got some strong opinions.
Oh, yeah.
About what?
About leadership.
Leadership, okay.
He thinks we need better leaders
Hmm.
and a better way of choosing them.
Interesting, especially when it comes to
Governance.
governance.
It's
Yeah.
all about meritocracy.
Meritocracy, so like
The best people for the job?
based on their skills and experience.
Exactly. Not just their connections or wealth.
He's saying that happens too often.
Way too often.
And that's why people don't trust institutions anymore.
Exactly. He made this really interesting point
Yeah.
about the only two institutions that haven't lost trust.
Which ones?
Small businesses and the military.
Huh. That's interesting.
And he thinks it's because
Because they're seen as
less corrupt
less corrupt. Okay.
and more meritocratic.
More meritocratic, yeah.
Like in small businesses, you have to be competent
You got to know what you're doing.
to succeed.
And in the military, it's all about ring and merit.
Duty and service.
Right.
So there's less room for,
BS.
BS. Yeah,
You
exactly.
have to prove yourself,
Earn your place.
which builds trust.
Makes sense.
So he's saying we need that in government too.
A more meritocratic approach.
Right. We need leaders who are
Competent
and ethical,
and committed to
common
the
good.
common good, right?
Which brings us to another one of his ideas.
Hit me.
New government departments.
New departments. Why?
Well, he thinks our current institutions,
Yeah.
they were designed for a different time.
Right. Different problems.
Can they really handle things like,
Like climate change, AI, all that.
yeah, it makes you wonder if we need,
Start over.
in some cases, yeah.
He thinks so.
He brings it up, but he's also like,
Cautious.
yeah,
Because any new institution,
Yeah.
no matter how good the intentions,
can become corrupt.
can become corrupt. Yeah.
So he stresses the need for
Checks and balances, transparency.
all that right from the start.
Right from the start.
It's easy to get cynical, you know,
I know what you mean.
seeing all the corruption.
everywhere.
But hearing Gilman talk,
yeah.
it's kind of inspiring.
How so?
He's clearly dedicated to finding solutions.
Yeah.
It makes me think, maybe, just maybe,
Yeah.
we can make things better.
If we work together
Yeah.
and think differently.
Right. And speaking of hope,
Okay.
I want to take a little detour.
A detour.
Yeah, to talk about something that celebrates
Celebrates what?
human ingenuity
Okay.
and cooperation.
I like it.
The Berlin airlift socks from xpfe.fun.
Oh, those socks you were telling me about.
Yeah, the historically themed ones.
How do they connect to?
Remember Gilman was talking about
Yeah.
institutions that have kept public trust
Right, like the military.
and how it's about competence and service.
yeah.
The Berlin airlift was a perfect example.
I see.
It
Because,
was the Air Force
Yeah.
playing this crucial role.
right, a non-combat role.
They airlifted all those supplies
Into West
when
Berlin.
it was blockaded by the Soviets.
For over a year, that was a huge effort.
Huge. And it showed.
International cooperation.
Yeah, even during the Cold War.
Right, they recognize.
We're shared humanity.
Yeah.
And work together.
To solve a crisis.
Exactly. And that echoes what the Berggruen Institute is doing
Finding peaceful solutions.
to global challenges.
Interesting connection.
So if you want to check out these socks,
Okay.
we'll have a link in the description.
Right.
And xpfe.fun. They have other cool stuff too.
Like what?
They're Firebrand and Gone books.
Oh, yeah.
They're about history and civics and stuff.
Sounds cool.
Really engaging.
I might have to check that out.
I think you'd really like it.
All right. Well, back to the Berggruen Institute.
Yes. So we've covered a lot.
We have
Their origins, their mission,
planetary thinking, pre-distribution.
new institutions, all that.
It's a lot to take in.
But there's still more to explore.
Oh, there is.
Oh, yeah. In the next part of our deep dive, we're going even deeper into the implications of all these ideas and what they mean for the future.
Let's do it. It's easy to feel kind of overwhelmed.
Right. I know what you mean.
Talking about all these big changes.
Yeah, like...
How can we as individuals actually influence these huge systems?
It's true. It can feel daunting, yeah.
But that's where the Berggruen Institute comes in.
I think so, too.
They show us that there are people
working for a better future.
Yeah, actively working.
And it reminds us that we don't have to
just accept things.
Yeah, the status quo.
Right. We can actually
change things.
Yeah.
They're tackling these complex issues
head on
and coming up with
real solutions.
It's empowering.
Well,
they're saying these problems if we're willing to think differently.
And work together.
Yeah.
And it's not just about, like, waiting for governments.
Or grand gestures.
Right. We can do things
as individuals
to contribute to this shift.
Absolutely. It starts with
being informed.
Yeah, understanding the challenges.
The solution.
And that's what we're doing here.
On this deep dive.
Giving you the knowledge to engage in these conversations.
To make informed decisions.
Exactly.
And it goes beyond just being informed, right?
It does. It's about
being an active citizen.
Holding our leaders accountable.
Demanding better systems.
That prioritize the well-being of people and the planet.
Yes. It's about using our
voices,
our consumer choices
to support the things we believe in.
The businesses and policies that align with our values.
You know what really struck me in Gilman's interview?
What was that?
That point about declining trust in institutions.
Oh, yeah.
It's a major
red flag.
If we don't believe in the systems that are supposed to be
part of us,
how can we solve these huge problems?
Right. It goes back to what we were saying about
meritocracy,
competent leadership.
When people see that those in power are more interested in
themselves
or personal gain
than in serving the common good,
it erodes trust.
Makes it hard to find
common ground.
Common ground, yeah.
And that's why I think what the Berggruen Institute is doing with their focus on ethics and integrity,
it's so important.
It's not just about finding solutions.
It's about implementing them.
In a way that's transparent. We need a shift in mindset.
Among leaders.
In the public.
We need to move away from
that transactional view
of politics
and towards something values-based.
Like, we need to reclaim this idea of
common good.
Yeah, for too long it's been all about
individual self-interest.
But if we want a sustainable future,
a future that's equitable,
we have to start thinking about
what's best for everyone.
Not just ourselves.
Not just our own little group.
It's interesting how this connects back to
planetary thing. It's not just about the natural world. It's about
our connection to each other. We're all in this together.
Whether we like it or not. And that brings us back to
reimagining capitalism.
This idea of predistribution.
Yeah, it's like,
why haven't we been thinking about this?
I know, right?
Why should a few people
control all the wealth
when we all contribute to creating it?
It challenges some fundamental assumptions
about how things work.
But as Gilman said,
it's already happening
in some places
on a smaller scale.
He gave the example of
tech companies.
Yeah, users could benefit
from the value of their data.
Makes sense to me.
We're constantly giving them data.
And they're making billions.
Why shouldn't we share in that?
Exactly. It's not like we have a choice.
About participating in the digital economy.
It's part of life now.
So the Berggruen Institute is saying,
let's change the rules.
Basic fair.
So that everyone benefits.
It's a vision of a future where
everyone has a chance
to thrive.
To participate.
To own a piece of the pie.
Not just the privileged few.
And it aligns with their whole mission
of creating a world where
everyone has the opportunity
to thrive.
I think it's important to acknowledge
if there are
challenges with any big change.
Like pre-distribution.
There are questions about
how to implement it.
How to make sure it's fair.
How to avoid unintended consequences.
But it's a conversation.
Worth having.
We need to be willing to
challenge our assumptions.
Explore new ideas.
And that's what the Berggruen Institute is doing.
They're not afraid to
ask tough questions.
Push the boundaries
of conventional thinking.
And that's what makes them
so relevant.
So important.
They're making us confront
the challenges of our time.
And think creatively about
the future. You know, one thing that's clear to me
is that
the Berggruen Institute isn't just
a think tank.
Yeah, they're not just
coming up with theories.
They're trying to
make a difference
in the real world.
They're translating their ideas
into action.
Whether it's policy recommendations,
advocating for new institutions,
or promoting a new way of thinking.
And that's what's so
inspiring.
It's not just about thinking differently.
It's about doing things differently.
Taking acts.
Creating the world we want.
And I think that's the key takeaway
from this deep dive.
It's a call to action.
For all of us.
To engage with these ideas.
To think critically.
To find ways to contribute.
To a better future.
So what stands out to you?
From this deep dive?
What resonates the most?
For me, it's the reminder that we don't have to be passive.
We can all be.
Agents of change.
We can all shape the future.
Even in small ways.
I love that.
It makes me wonder.
Yeah.
What would your ideal government department look like?
If you could design one.
To tackle a global issue.
That's a great question.
It challenges us to
think creatively.
And practically.
That's what deep diving is all about. Yeah, that's a question we could spend hours on.
For sure.
But it's good to think about, you know?
It is.
What do we really care about?
Right. What are our priorities?
Yeah.
And how would we actually solve those problems?
Yeah, it's one thing to see the problem.
Right.
But coming up with a solution.
That actually works.
That's the hard part. It's easy to complain.
Oh, yeah.
But it's harder to actually
do something.
Yeah, come up with an alternative.
That's the challenge we face, I think.
In the 21st century, yeah.
We can't just wait for someone else.
We got to be part of the solution.
And the Berggruen Institute
gives us hope, right?
They do. They show us that a better future
is possible.
Is possible, yeah. The people are out there.
Working on these problems.
And finding innovative solutions.
It's been a wild ride.
It has.
Exploring all this stuff.
From financial crises to
reimagining capitalism,
planetary thinking,
new institutions, all of it.
They're not afraid to push the boundaries.
And I think that their work reminds us that we all have a responsibility
to engage with these ideas.
It's not enough to just know about the problems.
We have to be part of the solution.
So if you want to learn more
about the Berggruen Institute,
we've got links to all the sources
in the description.
And definitely check out that interview with Nils Gilman
on the bond.
It's really insightful.
Gives you a great overview of their work.
We'll have a link to that too.
Keep the conversation going.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on planetary thinking?
What would your ideal government department be?
Share your ideas in the comments.
Or on social media.
We'd love to hear from you.
Until we bond again.